Hello everyone, welcome to the first installment of a new series that I'm developing, and we're going to call it the first 20 minutes of. So the first game that we're going to do in this series is a game that I'm very familiar with, and it's called Scum. It's a survival game. You're a prisoner on an island and you're just trying to survive. There's a science fiction element where you have zombies that are called puppets, animals, fishing, hunting. If you play on a PvP or play on a multiplayer server in general, there's other player interactions. But for this video, we're going to do a single player, very basic single player, and we're going to do just the first 20 minutes. So the first thing that you do in this game is you have to create a character. So you can choose between male and female. So you can change, obviously the head. It's still early access. We're at 0.6 right now. 0.7 should be dropping very soon. And all these things could change. You can add in tattoos. There's different tattoo styles. And obviously you can turn on nudity. The big part that you're going to be looking at is your strength, constitution, dexterity, and intelligence. For the purpose of this video, we're going to just randomize. The male character 2.7, 3.9, 2.9, 2.5. So under randomize, we got a little bit of brawling, a little bit of rifles, a little bit of melee, hardly any handgun, basic archery. Running is medium, endurance is medium, dexterity. We got thievery, driving, demolition, throwing, motorcycle, stealth. You notice down here, piloting, sailing, climbing. These are not even selectable options yet. Same over here, programming, biochemistry, education, cooking. So a lot of things that are still not in the game, but it's still a great game. I highly recommend picking it up. Pick it up on a sale or a free weekend if you want to. If you're on the fence, then you can just, down below, click on my Twitch link and check me out because I stream 3 to 4 times a week. Chances are I'm streaming Scum. So this is the character creation screen. And then we're going to go create. And it's going to give you some random stuff. This is all generic information, other than the bottom. The bottom is the real stuff. But up top, I'm sure all these things you're going to be able to edit in the future. You'll first notice when you go into the game, it's gonna spawn us in a bunch of trees. So the first thing I have to do is move my character forward.
If you wish to activate the tutorial, please do so on the interface.
Every other video you watch will probably have that tutorial going. I'm not going to do that for 2 reasons. One, I'm an experienced player, so I'm going to try to teach you as I go, just the basic things. The first thing you should do when you log into this game, the very first time, the very first thing in my opinion, what you should do. The second reason is I don't think the tutorial is accurate anymore because they're after changing a lot of things in the game. So the very first thing that I do in the game is you need to craft something because you're in this big world. I'm holding Alt right now so I can spin the camera around without moving. You notice my guy's head is moving with the camera. The interesting part, if you do go to play PvP in the game, is the way it works is you cannot see another player in this game, a real player, unless your character's eyes can see them. Well, actually, before I jump into that, I just want to hit tab. So I hit tab on my keyboard. We have inventory. This is all your things. So you have your holsters 1 and 2. So that's your items that you can wear have on your back, ready to go. And then your hands should be self-explanatory. Then over here you have your clothing. On the left-hand side you have clothing. So I have a shirt on and pants and the 2 black areas in here. That's my inventory slots. Actually, I have more clothing than that. So there's a couple, you have socks, you have shoes, which is very important because if you're not wearing shoes in the game, your feet will get blisters, they'll bleed, you'll take injuries, and eventually you will die. Sorry, the left-hand side, in the corner, there's a number when you hover over them. So each one here is 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 1. So these numbers represent heat. So the higher the number you have, the more warm your character can be. Now, it depends on where you're to on the map. If you're in a northern region, you want a higher number. When you're in a southern region, it's actually hotter down there, the average temperature, so you want a lower number. To remove clothing, you can simply click it and drag it over here, or you can drag it to the actual ground and make sure it turns blue. That's another way. Or you can right-click on it and choose on equip. So number 2 is crafting menu, which you're going to see in a second. Number 3 is metabolism. So this is your eating, your drinking, your stomach, intestine, colon, and bladder. So yes, you do have to pee and poo. If these numbers get high, you will. So whether you actually voluntarily do it or the game forces you to do it, so you do not want to be in a combat situation or running away from a zombie when all of a sudden you have to drop your pants. Your energy is your food, and your water is your water. So you want to keep those levels up to 100 as high as you can. The very first thing I do is look at the ground for rocks. So if you see a pile of rocks together, chances are you can search. So you hit F to search. Now there's a bunch of rocks. You may not see those. I can see them. They're right here. If I get a little bit closer to the ground, you can see them this way. The good thing is you don't have to individually click on them if you don't want to. All you have to do is hit Tab, and you'll see all the items in your vicinity. So I can do 2 things. I can either pick the rocks up, put them in my inventory, or I can leave them there, because what I want to do is craft a stone knife. So if I click on crafting, the very first option is to craft is the stone knife. If I click on it, it tells me over on the left-hand side the recipe. So it says 2 small rocks, or if I click the little arrow, 2 big rocks. These are all the things you can craft. It might look overwhelming. It's really not. It's based on your skills. So this particular character, all these things that are completely grayed out, is based on a survival skill. So he actually can't craft a lot of stuff in this particular case for this character. So each character can be designed differently, and it is best used within a squad. So you might have someone that focuses in a squad, is focused on the engineering side, the base building. Maybe someone's good at blowing things up, making explosives. Someone else might be your driver. He has a high driving skill. He can drive faster. The car stalls less. There might be somebody else who is really good at lockpicking. So a bunch of different ways you can design your character. I typically, when I build my character, I make him an engineer, and that's mostly because I don't know how many players I'm going to have with me at any moment. So I want to be able to craft the best locks and craft the toughest walls so the enemies can't come in. So yes, there's base building to protect your stuff. If you want to go down that avenue, you do not have to. If you're a single player person, you can totally just make a box and bury it under the ground with all your stuff in it. So we're going to craft a stone knife. So a little meter comes up, 25%, 35, 40. It'll just continue. It takes a couple seconds to craft the item, so it's not instantaneous. Now, it's created. If you have a keen eye, you can see right here is the stone knife. So I can actually click on it to pick it up if I want to. Easiest way I find is click again, inventory, and now I have it. So I can either double click on it, I can click on the item and drag it down to my hands if I want, or I can click on it and put it in my pants. So notice it has a 2-slot item. So for now, I'm just going to put it in my hands. All right, so you can jump in the game, you can run, you can walk. Now, here's another thing that's different from other games. Normally, what do you think? Normally, if you're going to sprint, if you're going to run in a game, what do you typically do on a computer to make yourself sprint? The shift key. Normally, you hit shift. This game doesn't use the shift key that way. To be able to run, you actually use the scroll wheel on your mouse. So scrolling it up will make you run faster. Scrolling it back will make you run slower. So if I'm walking ahead, clearly I'm just walking. If I toggle it slightly ahead, now I'm jogging. If I toggle again, now I'm running. So metabolism, down in the performance data section, you have walk speed. So I can walk as fast as 7.2 kilometers an hour. I can also jog 15.8 kilometers an hour. And I can also run at 28.7. Now, it depends on how much clothes I'm wearing, and if I have a lot of gear on me, backpacks, bulletproof vests, these numbers will get smaller, because obviously the more weight you carry, the slower you are. All right, so let's just get into some basic looting. And a lot of things are actionable. So in here, you might find, okay, well, there's feathers. There's feathers here on the ground. I can pick up the feathers. And it's pretty tedious to click on each individual one. What I typically do, hit tab, make sure you're in the inventory screen, and now you have the 3 feathers you see. So you could manually pick them all up, and you can go in first person to make it even easier to see it. You can do that, but the easiest way, which the majority of people do, is hit tab and select whatever you want to pick up. You pick them up individually. Some items can actually be stacked by just dropping them over on top of each other. Double click, it'll bring it to where you want it to be. So these are cars. We love to be able to drive the car, hey? These cannot be driven, but there are real cars in the game that you can drive. There's cars, there's motorcycles, There is trucks, SUVs, dirt bikes. There's even boats. There's a lot of different things. And the newest patch is going to be airplanes. We'll see how that works out. Well, I think there's a zombie there. If you can see that, there's a pickaxe. So because the pickaxe is stronger than the stone knife, I'm going to put the knife back in my pants, and I'm going to take the pickaxe out. And see what happens to the zombie. Yeah, so in this game, they're called puppets, but it's basically a zombie. So he's going to attack me, and I'm going to swing and hit him. And I'll try to dodge a little bit, and swing again. Dodge, swing, dodge, swing. And I can continue to do it if I want to. I can click on crazy. There you go. So it was like 5 or 6 hits. He went down. It really depends on your melee skill, on how well you can do this. So he actually has jeans, a jacket, all these cool things here on him, which is way more than I have. Now, generally speaking, you're probably not going to wear any of this clothes unless you're in an area where you're cold and you need to put on stuff to stay warm. The reason why that is, if you notice, there's a percentage down the bottom corner for each item. These are all very low percentages, which means they're going to degrade. They're going to be gone anytime soon. If you notice, my stuff is at 100%, most of it, and their stuff, because he was a zombie, is like 7%. If you get a repair kit, you can repair items, a sewing kit in the game, but zombie clothes or puppet clothes can only be repaired to 50%. If I equip them, look at this red area. But in this case, the jeans are damaged. So with this red crosses, I can't add anything there at all. And if I were to repair this, it would not give me the full 4 slots. It would only give me maybe 2 or maybe 3. So it's better to try to find a normal pair of jeans. Hit F to search, and there's something in there. It's something in there. There's not. It'll just come up with nothing. You jump through the window. You can open doors. You can open doors in the game. The thing about opening the doors, that's the hat here. I'm gonna put the hat on. There we go. So now I have a baseball hat. But keeping the doors open lets other players know that somebody is either currently around or has been around. All right. And now you do take fall damage, but depending on the distance. So that's not too bad. So I have a knife, so I can put it in my hand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up some of my clothing. Now this is the other thing you can do with zombie clothes. Because even though the zombie clothes give you dirty rags when you cut it up, it doesn't matter for what I'm doing, whether it's dirty or clean. You can't use dirty rags to heal yourself or to bandage yourself up. You have to use clean rags. So I'm going to cut up my undershirt as well. So I'm basically what I'm doing here now. So this is a rag strip. This is a rag strip, and these are regular rags. Because I know the recipe, I'm going to click on this, cut into rag strips. I actually need 5 rag strips to make an improvised rope. So basically I'm going to tie all these rag strips together and make a big rope. This is the improvised courier backpack. This is the smallest backpack that you can get in the game, besides the school backpack. It's the smallest craftable backpack, but it's useful at the very beginning because it allows you to get a bit of a jump start. So to make this, you need 3 rags, improvised rope, and a knife, which now I have. So crafting menu, click craft. So my guy, he'll do his thing. All right, so if you notice, we now have the backpack on the ground. And there you go. If you notice, there's a stylish backpack on my back. And I have lots of space now. All right, so we looted what we can. There's a roadway right here. So this is our question. Which way are we going to go? How can you even tell? How do you know where to go from here? 2 things. Luckily, we do have a map. And all you do is hit M, and it'll bring the map up. And the other side is we have a compass. Now, how are we going to see the compass? Kind of depends on your survival skill if you do have a compass or not, a natural compass. You can make a compass and you can find a compass. Hold right click. It gives you a bit of a zoom, right? And just turn your character around a circle. So this character's skill level for survival must be really low. Yes, so survival, so he's still at basic survival. He's at no skill survival, if you notice. It's highlighted no skill. He's at 83%. To level that up, the more wood I cut down, the more, it's mostly crafting things. So the more of that stuff I do, the higher that survival level will get. So when that gets to 100%, I'll be up another notch. So notice how this circle is black, but this pie chart here has 1 white, because my medical is on basic. So that's on level 1. This is level 0. So when you right click, when your skill is high enough, you can see a north and then sometimes south, east, and west. So the other thing we can do, we'll hit M and it brings up the map. You have to look on the map for your red dot. It's a very big map. This map is bigger than Skyrim. It's bigger than a lot of the PUBG maps. In fact, if you notice, it's all spread in these little grids, little squares. So it does take a long time to travel from one end of the square to the other square, let alone from one map to the other map, especially if you're walking or running. I'm pretty sure I took a trip on a motorcycle and drove a complete circle around the map, and it took me 2 hours. If you notice down in grid A3, there's a little red dot. That's me. Southeast of this position, you can see a bunch of red dots. Well, a bunch of red dots together typically means buildings. So that's where we're going to head to. And then just hit W so your character's moving, and then watch and see which direction he's walking. So in this case, he's actually walking north. So we're going the wrong way. So now we know what to do. So we're going to turn around and we're going to run this way. This is actually quite a large town. And there's water, salt water. Maybe we'll find a vehicle. Lots of stuff. Like all these things are searchable. Trash cans. Open up the doors. Go inside. I'm going to go smack with the hammer. There you go. I'm going to let him hit me once. There we go. So I took a hit. Alright, so I took damage that time. So if I go to health, I'm bleeding. Bleeding, C1 injury. The higher the number on the injury, the more damage you take. You're basically waiting for this meter to finish. Then it goes into stabilization. And then there's another meter. When that finishes, it goes to recovery. And when that finishes, the injury is completely done. So for now, what I can do is I could try to heal this by clicking on it and choosing treat. So now I'm going to, if you notice what I'm doing, I'm actually trying to heal the injury. I'm wrapping the bandage around it. All right, let's see if we can find some other clothing. Here we go. So I found a biker's jacket. So I could right click on it, choose equip, and now I have a biker's jacket on. And the big thing about this is I have way more space to put things in. So these garages sometimes contain a vehicle. So if you're lucky enough to find a vehicle in a garage, then you can drive further, faster, visit more places, and won't feel trapped. So shovels are exactly what you think they're for. They're for burying things. You can bury landmines, but you can also bury your own storage boxes. So if you create a storage box, so I'll show you. Go to crafting menu and scroll down until you find a chest. So there's a wooden chest, there's a medium, and an advanced. So I'm going to show you the blueprint. So I click craft, and there's a blueprint. So I hit F to place it, and now it says what I need to put in there. So I need 38 parts of a rope, I need 8 planks, and 2 nails. There's ammunition. So it's 22 caliber ammunition. I'll pick that up. I'll search this box. It's searchable. This one is 2. There we go. Another nail and a piece of metal. All right. The last place I want to show you is this big building right here. You'll see these. These always look the same. And on the front of it, if you notice, it's police. So we're going to open up the doors, and in here, this is where the better loot is to. So these boxes here sometimes contain police or military grade items. So weren't lucky enough to find anything. Now, see these lockers? These are gun lockers, and they're locked. So you need to get 2 things, a screwdriver and a lockpick. And then you had to use the screwdriver and the lockpick together to open up the lockers. These are not hard. It's pretty easy to do the lockpicking mini game on these particular ones. However, if people make their own locks and put them on their doors or their cars or their buildings, those locks are harder to pick. So we're going to take the drink. We notice our water level is at 54%. So we're going to right click on it and we're going to choose drink. So my character is drinking the Pepsi. So I can use it to craft it into a water collector. So basically use your stone knife to cut it in half and then place it on the ground, and when it rains, water goes in it and you can use it to drink. Or I can use it to craft it into an improvised fish hook. Or I can use it to make a improvised can suppressor. You put it at the end of your gun, and your gun is, well, it's a lot quieter, let's say. One final thing before I let you go. If you want to know if an item is useful or what it does, right-click on the item and choose Examine. It'll open the main inventory, and it'll tell you what it can make and what recipes. Well, that concludes this 20-minute tutorial, so I'm hoping to catch you guys next time. So right to the roof. Anybody to fight up here? Nope. There's such a lovely view. Smack him with the hammer. That's what you've been doing all day long. Hitting these guys with the hammer. And he's dead. And we'll just make sure. Alright, so for now, sayonara.